Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. As promised, I was going to start some new videos after my vacation here, and let's go ahead and we'll add another one here based on your suggestion. I'll probably do about 2 more or so after this video and then give it a brief rest, so be on the lookout for those future ones. This one was heavily based on what I was talking about, trying to find something that is original, that is intriguing, that is bizarre. And this is a cryptid that I have never heard of before, but after reading the information for it, I thought I would share it with everybody, and knowing that there's a good chance that all of y'all will love it. And this is because in the past, some of the other videos that I've talked about that it ties into, and when I talk about anything involving lifelike trees, they get a large set of views. So I don't know what it is, but it seems like a lot of you really enjoy the cryptids involving trees that have human-like personalities. For example, I've talked about that Yatavale tree, one of my earliest ones. I've talked about the oracular trees a little while back, and then more recently I talked about the Madagascar tree, and all of them have a good number of views. So this one also again has to do with a lifelike tree. The only key difference is that with this cryptid, it's not the tree itself that's lifelike, it's the fruit that it bears that it's lifelike. And you'll know what I mean here in a minute. I'm talking about the cryptid known as the Jinmenju, which you'll see a picture of here. And basically, it's exactly what I just mentioned. It's a regular tree, except the fruit that it bears happens to have faces on it. And it's not like an actual like human face, like you would think, like let's say if you cut somebody's head off and put it on a tree where it's grotesque like that. No, instead it's more along the lines of the fruit looks lifelike. Like think of that cartoon, that annoying orange, where it's a fruit but it happens to have a face on it, and that's the concept that you'll get with the fruit that's on this tree. And what makes it most distinctive is the fact that the fruit that this tree grows, it laughs. Like the fruit actually smiles and it laughs, and it does it not like in a bad manner, like in an evil manner or anything grotesque like that. No, it just seems to be a set of fruits that laugh heartedly, is the word that I found on several websites. And basically it seems to enjoy life. It seems to enjoy its moments, and it has that good-natured smile, that good-natured laugh, where if you're around this particular tree, then it'll set you in good moods as well. So this is a tree that is apparently has been around for hundreds of years, although to some extent it's apparently also extinct. It's found in Asia, particularly in China. The direct quote is, "It's found and it grows in a remote mountain valleys in China." But the reason why it's considered to be extinct is because it was so in demand by the people there in China that the people essentially wiped it out because so many people were wanting to eat its fruit. Now, the story of this particular tree, the Jinmenju, is pretty much only tied to one tale, and it's from a story called the Gazu Hiyaki Yagyo series. It's done by a Japanese artist by the name of Toriyama Sekian, and this was a book that was published back in 1781. This Gazu book is kind of like, think of it like its own collection of supernatural ghosts, spirits, monsters, the kind of stuff that you would normally find, like let's say here in America, with a lot of the tall tales. Think of that version, but in Japan and then in China. And it was created back in 1781 to give you a sense of how long this particular Jinmenju, the notion of it, has been around. And in it, the artist, what he did is he documented all these tales that people said in and around that time period, or were told as collections from who knows how many hundreds of years back, and he just basically collected them all, drew them into one book, and then that's where the basis of this Jinmenju comes from. And that's the only known instance of any documentation of this particular cryptid, because anything else to this day, there's no footage, there's no records, there's nothing. There's only the sense that it was very plentiful at one point, but people were so in demand of this particular tree or set of trees that eventually it just became extinct on its own because of the heavy demand for it. Now, when it was around, apparently these trees were found in either South China or South Japan, and the fruit that it actually bore with those human-like faces had a distinct name. It was called the Jinmenju, which translates to the human-faced child. And the way that this tree worked is it would bear its fruit throughout the year, and then it would ripen in the fall. And the idea was that the fruit would fall on its own because these human-like faces on these fruits, I mean, they had everything. They had eyes, they had ears, they had nose. Think of, like, again, the annoying orange, and that's the same concept. It would laugh, and they would laugh so hard that sometimes the tree would shake so hard that the fruit would fall off. And then that's how people would collect it, and they would eat it. The tales said that anyone who ate this fruit eventually found it to have a sweet and sour taste at the same time, and that again these were so in demand that people apparently either didn't wait for it to ripen or didn't plant enough to keep up with the demand, and eventually there was so little of these trees left that they were outright gone. But in the time when there were so many of them, there were gardens, apparently great gardens or orchids of these Jinmenju trees around. And imagine that the various places that I saw the website stated that it was a beautiful, quote unquote, a beautiful sight, because here you had a giant garden of these trees with these wonderful, adorable fruits, all laughing, all smiling, again in a wholehearted, very kind manner, where you just want to be around them all the time. And so to see a whole garden of these with what's considered their beautiful laughter, that must have been indeed quite a sight to do so. This was a tale that was passed around after the trees became extinct, and then to this day even bears, pardon the pun, some of its own fruit in common, I guess, areas. And what I mean is this: this is a Pokemon that goes by the name of Executor. I believe I'm saying that right, but that's how it's spelled, Executor. And you can see that it has a distinct impression of the Jinmenju in it. So that's how far these this tale of this cryptid has gone, even after several hundred years, and even after the point, of course, that there's, at least my knowledge, there's no exact location of anything involving this Jinmenju. Here it is, yet in a very popular kids series, and here you have a creature called the Executor that basically is the Jinmenju itself come to life. But yeah, that's the story. That's everything that's associated with the Jinmenju. Not much to talk about thereafter, because again, with it having just a plentiful period of time and then essentially just becoming extinct, and nothing else in terms of any other sightings or any other place that these things will grow, all that's left now is just talking about it as a lost tale of sorts, and there's not much more information beyond that. So if anyone has anything else that they can relate with regards to the Jinmenju, maybe why it had these fruits, these specific fruits that it was bearing, or maybe why it even became extinct, beyond the fact of the demand that I was talking about, it'd be great to see if anyone has any more information related to it. But otherwise, a very fascinating cryptid. Never heard of it before, the Jinmenju. So if anyone has any other information to share, that'd be great to hear. So, alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.